this thing with us now.
Oh no! Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a replay in the Leander. Yes, I do finally have the Leander. Moved on out of the Emerald. The Emerald was decent, still getting used to the Leander. And you'll notice today that I am grouped up with Beerman and Lynnwolf. I know it has been a long time since we last saw Lynnwolf and Beerwolf. Yeah, Lynnwolf and Beerman on the channel here, but here they are anyway to delight us with their presence. Now, before we go too far into the replay here, I do want to talk about something a little off topic here. I have literally just watched the new Independence Day movie. And I know it's been out for a while and all this crap. You know, I wasn't excited to go see it or nothing like that. You know, basically the opportunity came up this evening to watch it, and I watched it. I thought it was, you know, decent. I had a good time right up until the end, right up until they killed the queen, because as ridiculous as everything had been up until that point, they kill the queen, and then the whole stupid landing ship just leaves. It just left. What the hell was that? I could accept all the craziness, even the part where the old president was in the hangar, you know, with the beleaguered Air Force, and he was like giving his little mock speech to rally the people. That I could accept all those moments in the movie, but then the whole fucking thing that the aliens came on. Nope, Queen's dead. Gotta leave. Gotta leave. It's over, people. It's over. Oh man. Oh, anyway, moving on. In ships today, yes, Beerman and Lynnwolf. So, they had sent me a message in game last night, you know, to hop on over to the TeamSpeak and say hello. It had been a while since I had gone over, so I figured, what the hell, let's go. And we played quite a few battles last night, and they were all actually really, really decent. Played a lot of tier 9s, which was really fun to do. I do enjoy my high tier gameplay. Well, cruisers anyway, I just have such a good time. I mean, at tier 9, if I'm not having a good time, I've got, like, you know, 2 other cruisers I can switch to that are amazing. And then even at tier 10, I still have my Zhao and the Hindenburg that I can switch between. So this is a world of fun for me most of the time. But anyway, oh, and we do have to take a look at the new game mode as well. I was playing some of that before I get off topic here as well. If I say it in the video, then I have to hold myself accountable to it, right? So say it in the video often enough and it'll happen. Anyway, you can see that we are going to be coming over here to the ACAP zone, western side of the map. This is where we spawned. It's not necessarily where I'd wanted to go right at the beginning, but as things were progressing, right, you know, we're talking away, and yeah, we may as well go A, let's go A. And I figured that the Leander would perform pretty decently as long as it had the support of 2 battleships. I figured that would go pretty decently for us. So we're coming over here. There's some torpedoes, but no big deal. We do see some enemy ships making their way over here as well. I was a little concerned, right, because the Leander, tier 6 British cruiser. Now, I do definitely enjoy the Leander more than I enjoyed the Emerald. One of the big selling features for the Leander here for me was that she slows down a lot quicker than the Emerald did, so you do have the option of, you know, being forgiven a little for popping your smoke a little too early when you're going a little too fast. It's a little more forgiving in that sense. Now, on top of that, we do also get 8-kilometer torpedoes. So this Leander that we're looking at here, she's fully outfitted, well, fully upgraded. I don't have any modules purchased for her, but she's fully upgraded in terms of torpedoes and the final hull. So 8-kilometer torpedoes, that is not too bad at all. And of course, you know, the British trademark on the torpedoes that they're single fire. But I haven't checked, but I'm hoping that the range on the British torpedoes gets longer. I think it does. It gets longer because, you know, a selling feature for me on these British cruisers was that even though my main guns aren't going to be very effective against battleships, and we can see, even though, you know, I'm getting some damage every now and then, it's not a whole lot. But yeah, they're not going to be effective against battleships. But your torpedoes have been sold. At least seemed like it was sold to me that those torpedoes would be main armament. So I'm expecting, you know, not necessarily Japanese destroyer torpedo main armament type stuff, but I want something fairly close. And that's what I'm hoping for, because the British cruisers have been playing a whole lot like gunboat destroyers, basically, right? You kind of get in there, you pick a good spot to smoke up, and then you just start shooting, firing out of the smoke, and doing damage and stuff. The downside here, of course, is that you have the armor piercing, so your chances of setting fires are nil, unless the enemy gets close enough to you that your secondary batteries start firing. Bad karma in NGA. He was able to set an enemy on fire by that. The enemy came too close to his emerald secondaries opened up, set the player on fire. So it can happen. In fact, I've done it in this Leander as well. I don't think it was this replay, it might have been, but yeah, it can happen. So there's that as well. Now, we have managed to take out some of the enemy ships here, so that's not too bad at all, but we do need to push forward. We'll note that there's a Nuremberg in the background, and we do have some cruisers to deal with and some battleships to deal with as well. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to deal with these battleships, right? I've got Lynnwolf and Beerman here. They are in Dunkirk and Fuso, respectively, so I'm going to be counting on those guys and members of my team, because you'll notice that we do have a lot of allied ships to the south of A. I'm going to be counting on, these guys to kind of pull up the slack here and be the center of attention for the enemy. Luckily, a kind destroyer here manages to drop some smoke for me, so that is fantastic. So I'm going to turn into this smoke now, try and use it as cover as best as I can, but at the same time, keeping up the fire here, because that's something too with my British cruisers, is I find that I am struggling to get damage. Unless I can get some nice torpedo spreads off, right, I'm gonna struggle to actually get damage. And in fact, at the end of this battle, I don't do very much damage, but it's still decent, I'd say, for the British cruisers themselves. But I don't think that that's necessarily the point of the British cruisers, right? It's not meant to just rack up a crap ton of damage. It's more about maybe protecting flanks, providing a quick sort of scout, or heavier bunny ears there, scout to destroyers, but also being able to defend something fairly decently as well with the the addition of the smoke to the British cruiser. So that's more of their role, not necessarily, dishing out the damage like you would expect from your battleships and heavier cruisers at the higher tiers. It just makes sense for them to do a lot of damage. Now, we see the Nuremberg over there, and I was confident that that Nuremberg was going to come around here and I was just going to destroy the player, right? Because I've got all this... I still have it. I just haven't been able to fire a complete salvo at an enemy cruiser and do a bunch of citadels and have that cruiser just die. It hasn't happened yet for me. At least it hasn't happened for me on any other nation's cruisers. I've done it to the British cruisers. In my Emerald, I've destroyed other British cruisers with that thing and with this thing here as well, but I haven't been able to just like wipe out a Nuremberg, for example, and I really want to be able to do that. It's probably just something to do with my shitty aiming, so who knows? Continue to fire in here on the Nuremberg. This is the target that I have in my sights at this time, right? If we do look at the minimap, because I always like to take a look at the minimap, just for the next target, like, where are we going to go next? Now, we do see the destroyer, so we are going to want to put some pressure on the destroyer, but we will note that my team only has the one cap zone, so we're going to have to do something about this. Now, at this point in time, Lynnwolf unfortunately has died, but we still do have Beerman. Beerman's in the back, sort of. Right now, actually, we're discussing, we're on our way to B. Beerman's turning his ship around to get himself back into the battle here. So I'm going to head over to B and see what I can do about start getting this this point capped, and you can see other allies of mine have the same plan, right? They're already moving into the point here, already starting to try and get B capped, which is great. This is what we need to do. We do have an advantage in terms of ships remaining, right? And we were fairly slow on taking all the caps, but it really did work out in our favor because we were able to kill enough enemy ships that the lead in points that the enemy did gain by having all three caps wasn't such that we weren't able to bring the points back to parity once we took out a few of their ships. We can see that we do have an ally in the B point now, starting to cap it. I myself am getting closer to it here. And I mean, I do have to say this about the British cruisers. I mean, they are very responsive. No, I take that back. They accelerate very well. I had to think about that because they could turn a little better, I think. Nah, they're responsive. Let's give it. They're responsive. They're very responsive. I'll say it. And, you know, it makes it really nice to sort of cruise around in. I do wish they were faster. I think like 33 knots or something like that is the speed. I could go for a little more speed. I mean, the Japanese cruisers are able to get up to 35 knots, and granted they might be a little bigger, but, you know, they are also heavier with heavier guns. Maybe we can get some faster cruisers. I mean, granted, too, I'm only at tier 6, so I haven't really taken a look at any of the cruisers above me yet. So we do see that enemy torpedoes have gone through the channel, so I don't have to worry about them hitting me. One of my allies, you know, gets the kill there on that enemy destroyer, which is fantastic. We do see an enemy Pensacola coming up, and again, I had grandiose dreams of massive amounts of damage with citadels coming out of everywhere, but it just doesn't happen. It has. Maybe it's my aiming. It has to be the aiming, or maybe I'm just expecting too much. We see the enemy Benson pop up here. I notice that the enemy Benson is grounded, right? So I'm firing off all 4 torpedoes, single spread here, hoping that one of those are going to kill the enemy Benson. Believe it or not, it is a little different when you're firing these single torpedoes and you're aiming and you're leading. You can see all 4 of these torpedoes are going to miss this poor Benson here. I say poor because I really wanted the Benson to die, but if I would have just given them a little more lead, I would have been able to torp that guy. I still get the kill, which is fine. But yeah, I just got to work on my torping, I guess. Pensacola there in the background, very little health. I put some final shots into him, managed to take him down. Decent, not too bad. We only have 3 enemy ships remaining. We do have A and B. The last 2 enemy ships, or at least 2 of the enemy ships over there, they are sort of at the south of C, so maybe I might be able to go over there and see and sneakily cap that point. I do have some allies around me, and the remaining enemy, or well, these 2 enemy ships anyway, are busy dealing with Beerman, right? Because Beerman this entire time has been coming over here to B, and is now in good distance away from these enemies and starting to engage them, which is distracting them. I've got the benefit of smoke cloud out there, I mean also around me as well, but a smoke cloud out there that is keeping me hidden, so I could take some pot shots off here at some of these enemies, but again, you know, British cruiser, you can't really expect to do that much damage against the battleships. It has been surprising though, I mean, and I'm glad, because I kind of expected to fire at enemy battleships and just nothing to happen, nothing to ever happen, right? We can see, and we've seen throughout the battle here, that some of the salvos and shots go into these enemy battleships, they bounce, they do nothing. But then you have some salvos like the one I had on the Warspite there with about 2,500, or you might get a salvo that does like 900 and then followed by a quick another 900. I mean, you know, you're getting a bit of damage here and there, and it does sort of quickly add up. I mean, the high rate of fire of the British cruisers really does, make up for this, I think, or at least is one of the main reasons why I'm finding the British cruisers tolerable. I'm actually looking forward to, getting to the next cruiser. I've been looking forward to the Fiji for a while, quite frankly, so really excited to get to that tier 7 mark. I think that is going to be a much more defining moment for the British cruiser line as it is, than what I've seen so far, in the Emerald and the Leander here. Anyway, we do have Beerman continuing to chase down some of the enemy ships up there in the north behind the sea point. The rest of my allies here, well, the majority of my allies, we're making our way into sea to start capping this point. Now at this point in time in the battle, right, I've done about 48,000 damage. I'm surprised at how much damage I've done so far, so really all I'm looking to do right now is to get myself into the caps and to slop up as much of these cheap points as I possibly can in capping the C zone and the D zone. That's all I'm looking to do. And this was a pretty ideal battle here as well for a British cruiser, because so far I haven't even taken a shot. I mean, if we look at, or taken a shot in damage, right? We look at the mini-map and we'll note all of those ships that died in behind the A and the B point, right? It was really that sort of push around the A point led by myself, Lynnwolf, and, well, I shouldn't say myself, I was sort of hiding in the back in my smoke, led by Lynnwolf and Beerman, that really did sort of push the enemy out of that west side and allowed us to curl around them and just sort of push them back like we are now. So there we go, we managed to cap the C zone, and unfortunately I did not get any of those precious points, so whatever, I'm going to have to sail into D and see what I can do about capping that. Along the way though, I may as well take some shots off and see what more damage I can manage to do. Now, you never want to take anything for granted in your British cruisers. Very important indeed. Even though this enemy battleship, has his hands full, is, dealing with my allies here, no. I'm still going to pop my smoke, I'm still going to come to a stop, and I'm still going to go invisible to that player, because that player, the enemy battleship just has to look at you and you're dead. It's over. Anyway, we do have an enemy ship here off in the distance. I think that it might be the Nuremberg potentially, so I'm trying to get myself into play to actually take this player out or see what I can do about getting a bit of damage, because this is a target that I actually have a decent chance of scoring a bit of damage against. I know I had grandiose dreams of capping that D point, but I figure a bit more damage would be more beneficial. Well, more beneficial for my ego, I guess. That's terrible as that is. So it's a New Orleans, off in the distance and in a reverse. This is such a bad idea. Such a bad idea in a New Orleans. Just because the American battleships can go bow onto targets and absorb shots really well does not mean that the American cruisers can do it either. Doesn't mean that at all. So the New Orleans is gone. We have one enemy ship remaining. Victory seems to be all but ours, but the enemy still does have a, one enemy ship remaining here. So we're maybe trying to do something about it, or maybe I should just, let someone else deal with that and run over and cap the D point. Again, if at the very least, if I do cap D, I'll get myself some extra points. Now, we have slowly been closing up the distance here in points, right? The enemies did have a lead there for quite a time. They had, those 3 points, so we did get it pretty lucky here in this, and especially the fact that we were able to kill some enemy ships on top of that. But it does look like victory is going to be ours without too much hassle. So we're going to fire off here at the old Scharnhorst. Really have to be careful about this Scharnhorst though. If that Scharnhorst were to start firing armor piercing at us, it's over. Done. Just done. Surprisingly enough, got a bit of damage there on that Scharnhorst. That wasn't a bad salvo, that first one anyway. But you can see what I mean, right? Some will go in, do some surprising damage, or it's never going to be significant, but do some surprising damage, and then others will go in and just bounce off like they weren't even there. It's better than nothing, because like I say, I guess I kind of expected the armor piercing on the British cruisers just to do nothing at all to battleships. No chance of any sort of damage, but every now and then you get a little bit of damage, which is always great. Turning in now, we're going to try and shoot through the channel, maybe even launch off some torpedoes here at the enemy battleship, the Scharnhorst, if the player decides, to continue in a straight line. Looking at the overall points though, we're getting pretty close to victory here, and the Scharnhorst is on about half health, so it's not going to take too much more to finish this battle off here. One more lucky hit from one of my allies, or at the very least, we just need, another 50 points and we'll be able to call it victory. Luckily, I get into the channel in time to avoid the secondary battery from the Scharnhorst, because it can be pretty devastating indeed. Pretty devastating, and, obviously the Scharnhorst does have torpedoes, and my port side torpedo launchers are reloading. Quickly getting into the decap zone. I'm thinking that this is great. I'm going to start capping this zone. It's about 994 points remaining, so not too much time left on the clock. Victory is ours. It was a pretty decent game. Now, this obviously wasn't my first game in the Leander, but I have been enjoying the Leander. It's not too bad. 54,000 damage is what I do end up with, 248,000 credits, 12,000 experience because I had the camo and the different flags and stuff, right? I'm trying to get through these British cruisers. I do finish top of the team overall with Lynnwolf finishing, no, that's not Lynnwolf and the, yeah. Well, Lynnwolf and Beerman were there. They're gonna hate that I said that, but whatever. We can see how some of the damage did work out. I mean, surprisingly, right, I did do a bit of damage there to that Scharnhorst, about 10,000 damage, which is surprising to me anyway. 195,000 credits is what I do end up walking away with when all is said and done, and I earned myself another commander point for my British captain. That's always great as well. Anyway, folks, I do hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.